Whistling Whites. Coming at you here with Danielle K. White, your lead whistler here inside of the show and your star.
I didn't know you were
when it comes
starting.
to experiencing the power of dating your wife. Welcome back here, my friends. If you're here for the very first time, my name is Garrett J. White. I'm your co-host here in the Date Your Wife podcast. We are now on episode number 7. Episode number 7 is our discussion today, and this show... Well, we're doing this show for a bunch of different reasons. Danielle, I'm going to come to you. Why are we doing this show? In your mind, why are we doing this? Because literally, we got a lot of shit to do. But we're sitting here doing this show right now. Why are we doing this show? I should say, why are you doing this show? You're confused about why you're doing this show?
Some weeks I'm a little confused.
Some weeks you're like, what the fuck am I doing this show?
Kind of,
All right, why do you think you're doing this show? In your world, why show up and do the show today? You don't have to come today.
Just part of the journey. I don't know where you want me to go with this.
I'm not trying to get you to go anywhere. I'm trying to get you to share,
why don't you share why?
Why are you
why?
here on this show? All right, you want my why?
Sure.
All right. Are you going to come back with a why once I give you my why?
Maybe it'll spark something.
Maybe, no maybes. Maybe is a land for losers. Are you yes or no? You're going to come back with something for me, yes or no?
Maybe.
Did you just say maybe again? You're not going to get the gift. Do you know I have a gift for you today?
Oh, nice.
It's Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day. I have a gift for you today during the show. But if you are in the land of maybe, I maybe have a gift for you. But if you're in the land of yes or no, I have a gift for you, yes. So are you in the land of maybe or yes or no?
Is that like a threat? Is that like a threatening?
No, it's not a threat. It's not a threat. I'm just like asking if you're committed. Are you committed to yes or no?
I don't like to commit to things based on if it projects if I get something or not, maybe.
Wait, are you telling me that you don't commit to business like, getting pregnant? Getting pregnant, when you get pregnant, you get a gift. There's a gift that's called a child. It comes on the other side of this.
I know.
It's a gift. Sometimes it feels like a curse. Was it feeling like a curse last night?
No, what?
Last night. Oh, no, 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago was a shit show. Last night was not bad. The kids were good.
Like they were great for
Yeah, they
me.
were great last night. 2 nights ago.
No. It was fine. I feel like...
It was fine. You didn't have a problem with it.
Sometimes Bailey drives me bonkers, and I just have to, scream for a second, and then I'm good.
And then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Little screaming, and then did you actually scream? You yell at your children?
I think I screamed at you, not them.
You did scream at me. You scream at me all the time. But were you screaming at your children?
I don't usually scream at my children. If they're trying to get out of the door, that's usually what it's more of like a yell. I'm like,
a yell?
Why are you in the car with no shoes? Why?
Why do you think it is that kids literally cannot get to the car without shoes?
I don't know, because moms do it for them. Like, I'm used to grabbing the bags and the lunch and the shoes and everything, and I'm just trying to get out to the car. And then the one day that I want them to do it, they're like, well, I don't have them. And I'm like,
you're like, what happened to your shoes? I lost my shoes, Dad.
But it's my fault because I usually do it all for you. So maybe I have to train them you're in charge of your shoes. It is what it is. I don't
know why this happens, but there's a constant loss of shoes around our house. Which is not actually our topic at all for today. Our topic is not about shoes. Although it could be about shoes, Gucci shoes. Maybe I'll bring those up here in a little bit.
Oh.
So anyways, listen, this show itself was built to support men and women who are married and who are in the dating game. I'm trying to get the right fucking camera angle here. We are, if you're not watching these shows, you can always check them out at dateyourwifenow.com, where we have all the videos, we have the show notes, we have the tips, the tricks, action guides, etc. for each one of these episodes. You can always listen to the show here inside of whatever tool you're using, whether it's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and soon to come to Spotify here over the next couple of weeks. But this entire show was built there, number 7, with one purpose, and that purpose was to talk about what it was like inside of our marriage to be in a complete pit of chaos, and in that pit of chaos, how to climb and build ourselves out and stay married. Now, we were on knocking on the door of divorce. How close do you think you were to divorce, Danielle? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being divorced, 1 being I wouldn't even consider it.
No, there was a lot of times.
Where were you at? Give me a number. 8?
I'm going to go with a 10.
10. Okay, so there were moments of 10 for you. All right, and then those drifted. In moments of 10, you started actually building a business because your desire was to do what?
Well, I've told the story quite a few times, but...
You told it on BMSO. We haven't talked about it here. No. That was another podcast. We haven't talked about it here.
Well, honestly, one of the times I didn't know if Garrett and I were going to stay married. I was 9 months pregnant with my second daughter, and I was like, well, shit. I'm going to have to figure out how to turn my business into a little bit more than just a hobby.
Right.
And you were in a tricky place where the market crashed, and you were in between trying to figure out what you wanted to do with life, and we were just struggling trying to make ends meet. And I am a hairdresser, and I created a hair extension method called Natural Beaded Rows, and I own a salon now in Laguna Beach, California. But at the time, I was just kind of casually doing hair, and we weren't really like dependent on my money paying the bills. It was just like a little bit extra here and there. So when I got to that place where I wasn't sure if I was going to stay married, I was like, okay, well, I want to be taken care of, and I don't want to count on somebody else to take care of me. And now I have 2 children. So that's really what put me in a position to try to take what I had and figure out how to grow it.
So you started producing. You started making your own money. I mean, you were kind of making your money the whole time. Like you, since we were together, you were always making some kind of money with doing hair extensions. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were building, and the reason why I'm bringing this topic up today is because our focus for conversation today. Every week we focus on something different. Our first week of the month we focus on the idea of sex, and we've done that. We've done 2 shows on that. This last one we had it was a great one, and the one before that one on sex was a great one too. If you haven't figured out or listen to either one of those, we talked about, teasing last episode, which was fantastic, which was a great conversation. We also talked about masturbation. So if you missed that one, go back and check it out. The one before that on sex, we talked about quickie porn star, which was a strategy.
How can you always cap on just the sex one?
Well, because I know my guys want to hear it.
We have 4 topics,
yeah,
and you're
but my
always
guys want to hear it.
Guys, if you want to know what we talk about every week, we talk about sex and more sex and lots of sex.
And lots of sex.
We talk about
You're
parenting.
Welcome. You're welcome.
What's the topic for today,
no,
Garrett?
we
Get
go
to the
from
point.
sex, and then we go to money, which we've had a money conversation. We talked about our money history last money show.
Okay.
Today's money show, we're going to have a different conversation. And then we move from money to parenting and move from parenting to communication. So today we're on the topic of money, and we're specifically going to enter the conversation not based upon money and where you're from, but like this idea of being dual producers. Dual producers. Now, you took yourself as you were a hobbyist in hair, but you were still making some good money.
Yeah.
But you weren't taking yourself seriously.
No.
Okay.
But I always kind of I remember growing up, my mom, she would kind of pay for nice stuff in the homes, or if she wanted basically like trips or stuff in the home or clothes or whatever. I always felt like my mom was the one that contributed there. And it's because she always wanted nice things. And my dad was like, listen, I put a roof over our head. I pay our car payments. I pay all our bills. Like, you need to not want more than that. And so my mom was always this personality that was like, no, I do want more. And so she always worked because she wanted, I think that freedom and that control to be like, no, I want nice things and this and that. And so I remember I kind of went in with that same mindset, I want to be taken care of, but I also want the freedom to not feel the guilt, like, hey, I want a nice pair of shoes, or I want a nice bag, or whatever. So I was making enough just so I literally, I wouldn't, there was times I was making decent money, but I never considered myself the provider. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's why when I tell people I was a hobbyist, it wasn't that I wasn't making money. I've always done hair and hair extensions, and I would say I was making decent money. I remember a few times when we first got married living in Las Vegas, you were like, babe, and we were newly married, and you'd be like, babe, I need $5,000 this month. And I was like, oh yeah, because I had been stockpiling cash.
Right.
I mean, there was only so many pairs of shoes you could buy. And so,
you weren't buying the big high-end shoes.
No, I wasn't then. But
you weren't quite in that place.
But my point was just saying, that's I always thought of it as a hobby. I wasn't in a situation where I felt like I was the provider.
Okay. So you have the production game, and again, there's this role game that goes on with money, which is an interesting one, which affected my parents too. My mom never looked at herself as a producer inside of the game. Yet she was a hardcore producer with the kids, and she was raising 5 children under very little amount of money. And my mom was committed. She was committed to making it work. She was committed to building a life for us kids. She was committed to taking whatever money and resource my dad could provide, and then spreading that across the family. Now, you and I, inside the production game, you had actually started down the hair path because you also didn't want to be controlled with your spending. Is this true?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, talk about this desire to not be controlled.
I think that I would see so many women being, or still to this day, I hated the idea of I have to ask my husband. And even though there's a lot of men that are like, yeah, no problem, here's some spending money, I didn't want somebody to put a number on what I couldn't buy. And then even then, women, I don't know if men experience this, but women face a lot of guilt. They face a lot of mommy guilt. They face a lot of just guilt in spending money. And for me, I just always felt I don't feel guilty spending my own. I feel like it's hey, I earned this, and I feel good about buying this, and this is an experience for me, and whatever.
Did you? Was there ever a point where you felt controlled a little bit by the money with me?
No, I honestly, our whole marriage, I never did. But then when we lost it all, I was well, I can help. I was maybe maybe like I know I make okay money. I wasn't like a numbers person and I wasn't like tracking it, but I was like, I mean, I was like, I feel like I know what my clients are paying each time. I know I'm like going to work. I know I'm making money. So I'm like, maybe, but it put me in a role of like wearing different shoes, because it wasn't like all of a sudden I think a lot of hairstylists out there who like do hair is just kind of like, oh, I make good money, but they don't ever think of themselves as business people. They just think of like, I mean, even though they are in business, they don't really consider themselves that way. And for me, when the roles flipped and I felt like I was going to have to provide for, even if we stayed married at that point, I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to be the provider. And there's a lot of relationships like that where the girl is a provider and the guy is not. And the guy is at home with the kids. And for a minute, I was like, maybe Garrett's supposed to be with the kids. Or even if he's not, I literally was faced with a situation where I'm like, I'm going to have to figure out how to be a producer, because I'm either going to take care of our family or I'm going to take care of myself.
I remember being in that position with you. I remember having all kinds of questions for myself as a producer, like wondering, can I pull this off? Should I pull this off? Like, I had moments where I was like, shit, maybe Danielle's just going to become big at hair and I'm going to become a stay-at-home dad. Like, I literally didn't know how to play the roles. And during that transition time, it really depolarized us as a couple. We've talked about it inside other topics when we're talking about sex, but it really depolarized us energetically. Like, there was an interesting game that plays out inside of money when I'm not producing. Talk a little bit about what it's like to be a woman married to a man who's not producing. Every woman's gone through this at some level.
I think that,
and how money and production actually impact.
Real?
No, I want you to fucking lie. Yes, of course, be real. Go.
I think that every woman desires to be taken care of. I just think that's like kind of how we're genetically built. And so, speaking from my experience, it did. I kind of didn't. I wasn't like the attractive level was not there as much.
But like, give me a ranking, 1 to 10. 10 being totally attracted, 1 being not attracted. When I'm not producing, where am I at?
Here's the thing. Before we kind of like before I took on my brand and went serious with that, I should tell you the backstory that previous to like 3 to 4 years before that, we were in what I call numb phase. We talked about that in one of our...
we talked about numb phase.
Yeah. So we were in numb phase. So it's not like I was like, we weren't like really super into each other. We were just in numb phase where you're like, we're not good, we're not bad, we're just kind of here. And so then when you're not great and then you kind of take away everything, all of a sudden it's like you kind of look at your reality and your situation, like where you're at. And so it went from being like numb phase, like things aren't looking so good, to phase of like things are looking not good at all, because you even changed like what little mojo you had. Is that what I could say?
Sure.
What little mojo you had of like swag of businessman and like running your own mortgage business and things like that was gone. And I was like, oh dear Lord, like there was like zero. Not zero. There's like a 1%. I'm going to go with a 1. 1%
attraction.
I don't know. So it really shook me. I was like, holy shit, women really want to be taken care of and they want to feel safe, and like that's just how it is.
Let's be straight. If I had not ever turned around production, let's imagine there's guys like this, guys who have not turned around production. If I had never turned around production, do you think we're still married, yes or no?
I don't know, because I know in those years that I was
Tell the truth.
I know. I really don't know, because I don't want to. I don't know that for some couples in some situations maybe it doesn't work out. But I think is from a guy's perspective, is there a little bit of resent on the girl or what? I don't know what goes on.
For sure.
Because
no, like there's a sense of inadequacy.
You know what I find too is I was in called cut your balls mode off. Because I was
your balls mode off.
I got this.
I turned that microphone.
It doesn't turn.
I know. You got to keep it. You got to keep it right up on there.
Cut your balls off mode is like I felt like I was the man in the relationship, in the sense where if you were trying to control me, I was like, you don't have a fucking leg to stand on right now.
It's true.
It's like I would just. Which actually made our relationship get worse, because I was in cut your balls off mode and just like kind of genuinely annoyed by you and constantly like pulling out the rug, I guess you could say. I don't know.
Yeah.
It like actually made our relationship worse. And then it was like, all of a sudden you were like, okay, I got to take back my...
It led to a lot of wars.
Yeah.
I mean, we were sitting there as a couple. Like, I mean, the frank fact of the matter, like, we were sitting there as individuals. Danielle's making the money. I'm not making the money. I'm not producing. And people say the money doesn't matter. Right? Like, they're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I will tell you right now, for a woman to be the lead producer creates masculine energy. Doesn't matter. Every primary producing woman I've ever met ends up channeling a level of masculine energy to produce, because masculine energy is business production and getting paid. Okay, and so when a man is in a relationship with a woman who's outproducing him, I'm not saying the women shouldn't outproduce men. If you can outproduce your man, you should do it. But what I'm saying is there's this impact that happens, and it started happening to me because I had confusion and chaos about where I was trying to go. I was not getting the dots to line up when it came to making money. And so there I sat trying to figure out shit. And at the same time, had this deep longing to be connected with my wife, yet my wife's completely turned off by me. And at the same time, my wife doesn't trust me. And at the same time, my wife's actually becoming disgusted with me because I'm not figuring out the production game. And there was this huge shift of power that came about because of money, where I went from like the king of the castle to I went to the servant of the queen, who was now wearing the king's castle, king's crown, and the queen's crown. And you kind of took over. Like, you took over as the producer for a bit.
You know what? You always provided, though. I will say that. Like, I think you always like paid the core bills, but I kind of helped out. I think there
was about 4 months where I couldn't make anything and you paid for everything.
And then I think there was a couple months where like I produced quite a bit more, and you were like, that's when you were so angry at me, and I was like, and then it was weird, and there was a lot of tension. And
it's because you would talk shit. You would talk shit. You were cutting my balls off,
I was in
and then
dude
you would
mode.
talk shit.
I was in dude mode, which I'm not. Like,
You'd be like, I smashed you this month, just so you know. Just so you know. Look at my money. You see this? I smashed you this month.
I did not.
And I'd be like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know how to take it because I was kind of turned on that you were producing. But at the same time, I was like, what a bitch. I can't even understand this. Like, she's pouring salt directly into the wound that she just caused with the knife on my balls. It's like salt on the balls. It was like not exciting at all. Yeah,
no,
salt on the balls.
.com. Yeah. I think you were kind of competing with me too. Like, it wasn't just me. And so when we were competing, I was like, dude, like, quit trying to let me show you like what's going on here. And I think you didn't believe me when I was like, I'm making good money, I'm doing this and this and this, and I think because you were kind of still paying the core bills. I think. Did we have separate accounts then? I think we did. Accounts, right? Yeah, we did not. You didn't know what was in my accounts because you didn't.
I know I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I had no idea.
When we went through the phase of like I didn't know if we were going to stay married or not. I was like
separated the accounts.
I separated the
accounts.
You
got the Wells Fargo account.
Yeah, and I was like, peace out.
I had the Chase account.
And so you didn't even know for a while like how well I was doing until I would. And I think you would say stuff, and I'd get so pissed. I'd be like, let me show you. Let me show you my fucking bank statement, but I didn't. And I think
you basically did it.
I think those were the months that it got weird. But you were always like providing, but I definitely had to put on the dude shoes. The
dude shoes were on.
I had to put on the dude shoes.
You were kicking me in the dick with the dude shoes, even though you weren't a dude. Like this was happening. Like this is the reality of production. So if you're a man listening to this, or you're a woman listening to this, and you're sitting in a game, I'm telling you right now, it's not just about the topic of money. It's about the power play of production, which is who is the actual king and who is the queen in the castle. And in some instances, in many instances, when a man loses his power, a married man loses power to produce or lacks the ability to be able to not just provide economically, but to create a game of trust inside of that relationship. The woman is forced to go into masculine mode in order to produce, which creates this whole different dynamic and challenge. Because I started coming back into the game. I started figuring some stuff out again. I started finding my confidence. Danielle and I, we talked about the sexual dysfunction, the problems we're having with connection, and how dating started us and going on dates started us down the path of reconnecting. But one of the big struggles wasn't just sex, it was money. And it wasn't just money, it was who is the fucking king in this castle? Because Danielle had actually taken over. I had kind of like just said, here you go. Like, I literally don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. Take this, go with it. Like, there was probably a year and a half where I was like, man, I was selling stuff and I was making money and I was hustling for other people and I was making us cash, but I didn't have any clear trajectory for our future. How did this feel as a woman, though? Like, you're sitting there and you're kind of disgusted a little bit by it, but like, honestly, as a primary producer, knowing you were for a period of time, were the primary producer in our relationship, and I was not getting it done, and I didn't have any signs of a clear path to the future that I was delivering. Like, what was this like being married and being a woman inside a situation? You feel trapped?
Knowing that...
You didn't feel trapped, or you did feel trapped?
Wait, what was the question?
Knowing that I didn't have a clear path or trajectory. There was not a clear direction where I was going. I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, what was going on for you? I
so much wanted that safety net, and I wanted you to, like, be the man, but I wanted you to, like, show me that there was a safety net, and there was no... I mean, because you were basically like starting a business from scratch. You know what I mean? Yeah,
like over and over and over again.
Yeah, over and over and over. But then it was like I kept seeing consistency. And it wasn't like you were changing the name of your company or trying this or going to a new seminar or all of a sudden you're going to go this. It was like build this, get this going. Now build this, get this going. Instead of like, hey, burn shit, keep running, burn shit, keep running, burn shit, keep running. And so you were building, then releasing control, building, releasing control, building, releasing control. And so I started to kind of like see this, and I was like, okay, he's staying consistent. And now I feel like that safety net is back. Now I can kind of let off like all this masculine energy and all this like grind and hustle. I can still use that and be productive, but I was like, but I don't, not at the same level. Like I actually kind of took my foot off of it was this, life is so crazy with timing, because there was this year where I literally took my foot off the gas. And I was like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. Like, something inside of me is like, just put your business on hold. And that, I feel like, was your, like, I was like a big year for you. Mm-hmm. And like, I kind of took my foot off the gas, and you put it on the gas. And it was just like, there was so much of a separation between, like, we're no longer competing between who's the man.
This is exactly what was happening.
Yes. We
were having a battle for who's the man.
Who's the man. And so I was like, I don't even care. This is causing so much contention that, like, I don't care anymore. So I kind of like took my foot off the gas, and you kind of went. And then it was like, you just kept going and kept going. And then finally, it almost like feels like it shifted our relationship to being like back to where it once was, where like he's the king, I'm the queen, or I'm feminine, you're masculine. You know what I mean? And it was interesting going through everything that we went through. It was like, we still could I can still put on that hat. I can still be like business mode Danielle. Mm-hmm. So I definitely learned a lot about myself, because I would say up until that point, I was kind of quiet and I didn't like confrontation and whatever. And now I've learned a lot. Like, I'm 34 years old, and people are like, oh, your business is so great. You're only 34. I'm like, yeah, I went through a lot of shit though. And I think I learned a lot of like valuable skill sets. And one was like learning, kind of like figuring out how to be the man, and like figuring out how to delegate, and figuring out how to wear the business shoes, I guess you could say. And then you have a side of you too that is more like sensitive, and like it's weird. Like, we're both very much like masculine and feminine, and I feel like we've kind of found like our mesh with one another. And so I don't know.
Well, this was the big struggle. Like I was fighting to figure out how I was going to get back in position of power inside of my own home. And my wife was fighting me for the power. Like, it was not like a couple of years, like, or a couple of months. It was a couple of years, like 4 years, 5 years of battle. Like, there was the silent phases, and then we went to war. Like, when Danielle took her foot off the gas a little bit, there was a piece of me that was starting to come back and now punch her the way that she was punching me for a few years. I was like, oh yeah, just so you know, you did this? Well, yeah, I did 10 times that this month, just so you know. You're welcome.
Such a dick.
And I would come back, and I was throwing it in her face. Like, I was throwing it at her. I was like, oh yeah, you like that? Well, guess what? I did 30 times what you did this month. You see that right there? You see that tax return? Oh yeah. And so that we actually went to war a different direction. And it actually killed a lot of our ability to actually communicate as a couple, because our communication is why our fights would happen at dinner on date nights all the time. Because we were battling. We had a little battle at date night just last week.
I know. It's
a little battle. That was the first battle in a long time, and it was about business.
Because I'm at another place in my business where I know I need to let go a little bit, and it's so hard for me. And so I think I self-sabotage in order to jump to the next leap.
You do. You start to pull out the nunchucks and whack me in the balls again. And then I'm like,
I wasn't whacking you in the balls. I think I'm whacking myself in my own balls that I have.
Oh, you heard it here first. My wife, literally, her strategy when she self-sabotages, whack herself in her female balls.
That's when I know I'm usually onto something good, though. So then I'm like, let it go. Move on.
But we battled. I mean, we went through a little heated battle.
You like it, though. Let's be honest.
Let's not be honest about this. Let's lie about this. Of course we're going to be honest about it. Stop saying that.
No, that's just a phrase I use a lot.
All right, stop saying that phrase. We went to battle last date night about business.
Yeah, because...
How did you feel in that battle? We went to 50 Shades of Grey. Climax, not a very good movie.
Yeah, that was lame.
A bunch of nipples, but I was like, I wasn't really feeling it.
That's good.
They were trying to make it all dramatic. I was like, I'm not really feeling this. But anyway, so we go to this like little wine bar afterwards on date night. That was fun, and then it turned into a fight.
I know.
Turned into a fight.
I know, because I
don't even know why it turned into a fight. I tried to give you a compliment. I tried to give you a compliment and it turned into a fight.
Do you want me to be honest?
No, I want you I want you to lie, because that's what I like the most, is when you're lying to me.
We just had done like 2-day intensive classes for my Big Money Stylist event, which Garrett pretty much runs. And I very much, even though I have to like let go of control, I love being in the mix. Like I always want to be in the creation and the teaching process, and I always want like, it was like my baby. I put my name on it, and I always want to be in the mix. And you're always like taking over, which is great. And I allow him to like take over because I know I want my business to flourish, but I still want to be a part of it. And he made a comment like, because at the end of it, I was like,
you were on fire.
I was on fire, and I gave up, and like I came up and did a great speech, and everyone was like pumped, and I was like nailed it. And we were at a wine bar, and he just was like, hey, you did so great speaking. And instead of saying thank you, I went into this mode of like, yeah, I was like, I don't know why, maybe I drank too much wine, but I was like feeling bugged. Like I was like, let me be a part of this. Don't take it away from me. Like that's how I was feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
And I think I was also feeling like, oh my God, like Garrett, I am a good trainer. I am a good speaker. Like in front of my people, like I fucking know my people. And I felt like you saw that side of me that you hadn't seen. And so I think you were like, wow, like good job. And I was I think and part of me was like bugged that you hadn't seen that more. You know what I mean? Because last year you weren't as involved. And I was like, yeah, don't take me out of this. You know what I mean? I'm like, and so I think that's kind of where that frustration came. And even though you meant to say it as a compliment, I was kind of like bugged, like I almost came across like, give me credit for who I am and who I've become and where I'm willing to go. And it just came out all wrong.
And then it turned into a battle. And inside the battle, I went to the place I always go to, which is like, all right, fuck it, I'm out. I don't need your shit. I don't need your business. I don't need to be part of this.
Now I just
fuck
tell
your
them
business,
it's your
burn it
business.
all. And then Danielle will do this thing where she's like, fine, I don't care, shut it all down. And then it pisses me off even more. And I'm like, oh yeah, I will literally burn this shit to the ground right now. And we're sitting there in the wine bar, and the lady walks up to us. Are you sure you guys don't want any more wine? And we both look at her with these eyes of fire. I was like, do you think I look like I need more wine right now? I'm doing plenty of yelling without any more wine. So we're yelling in the wine bar. We're getting louder than the music guy. Danielle then goes to this phase where she's like, shh. And then the more she tries to shush me, the more I get pissed. I'm like, no, I'm not fucking shushing. I'm not shushing. I'm not shushing. I'm not shushing. We're fighting during date night, but let's talk about this for a second. Like people think that this is like the battling. We were battling last night. We went back and forth. You were doing the same thing from date night last night.
I've been so pissed at you this
You've been
week.
a little bit of a crazy bitch this week. Are you on your period?
No, I think you've been working a ton, so I like to take it out on you.
You do. Yeah, I hope you take it out on me tonight. It's Valentine's. I'd like you to take all that aggression out on me tonight. Are you open to this?
We'll see how you show up.
I've been showing up all week. I'm getting my balls hit with nunchuck ball hitters. All right, listen. So we're gonna come. I'm gonna shift this topic, and we're gonna look at this. Here's the final thought I'm gonna give you on this piece, and we're gonna go to a different topic. So with money and production, right? There's going to be a power struggle, and there was a major power struggle with me in dealing with Danielle and dealing with the fact that I had lost the power and trust, and Danielle had risen to take the crown. And so here's this woman who is both the king and the queen in the castle, and here I am as a king coming back in and saying, I am the man. But she's like, doesn't look like you're the man. I'm like, I am the man. She's like, you are not the man. I was like, I am the man. She's like, you're not the man. I was like, I was like, get out of my fucking chair and give me my crown back. And I was so angry and I was so pissed. But I was pissed at myself, and I was pissed that I'd even put us in this situation. But here was the thing I never understood. Danielle, my story was Danielle's a bitch and crazy and mean and critical and all these things. Like, those were the stories I was telling myself back then. And that would lead me to another story, which is like, we shouldn't be married. We probably don't need to be together because Danielle's so critical and she doesn't care and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what I didn't recognize was that I was earning my trust with my wife again. And Danielle was actually preparing me to actually be ready to take over the throne again, because there was no one I would have stayed in the fight with like I was staying in the fight with Danielle. Like, Danielle was just like, ah-da, and a boom punch to the balls, and a bat to the balls, and a boot to the balls. And then I'd be sleeping, and there'd be like a whack to the balls. And like, there was just like sandpaper on the balls.
Abusive.
Like, I was under assault, but I was fighting for the throne, and Danielle was sitting in the throne. She's like, you're not getting this throne until you prove that you're actually the man. Is any of this true for you, or am I being crazy?
I mean, you sound a little crazy. I'm not like quite that aggressive, but
there was not even close to that much ball touching actually going on, but there was definitely the attacks.
This isn't sex week, Garrett.
I'm not going there with it. I didn't say, why are you putting your mind there? I wasn't talking about that. I was just referencing balls. All right, so coming back to this, though. Like, literally, were you feeling this? Were you feeling like you were like, no, you prove that I can trust you, because like, I don't really trust you.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think at the time I didn't realize it, and I was like, why am I so resentful, or why am I so resistant? Like, I love him. I know I love him, and I know I want to make this work, and like I love our little family, and I want this so bad, but why is it not working?
Right.
Why is it not clicking? And so I was like, God, we're obviously doing something that's like creating this. Now how do we reverse this? And I think the longer you stay in like sucky patterns and that kind of thing, the bigger monster you create. And what took you maybe like a couple years to create this crazy person, now it has to like take a couple years to reverse and get that back to where you want it to be.
It took us a while. And we had to, like, there were two things that had to happen. One, I had to stay ruthlessly committed to myself and to the vision that I had for myself. And inside of that, I had to stay committed to dating my wife and committed to staying in the fight with my wife and in the fight with my relationship to continue to push for what we wanted as a couple, but at the same time begin to push for myself. I was spending so much time trying to make sure that Danielle was okay inside of my own mind that I was not spending enough time worrying about what I needed to get done. And this weird thing started to happen. I stopped looking at Danielle as like the problem. I stopped looking at her as the one in the way. And I just started saying, I'm going to this place. And every time Danielle would show up, like, there's another place I'm taking the businesses right now, the businesses we run, I'm taking them there. It doesn't even matter what Danielle thinks. Danielle thinks she knows, she doesn't know. I'm taking these businesses to exact place. This morning, I've already proved results that she said was impossible.
I didn't say they were impossible.
Just so you know, they've been proven this morning already, this morning, as of this morning from last night. This is me being right now, just so you know.
Do you want me to be a part of this business or
I
not?
do want you to be a part of this business.
Oh, do you?
I do. I do.
Careful. Tread lightly. Tread lightly, sir.
And with
Would
those,
you like another swift kick to the balls?
well,
I got my man shoe back
you're
on.
Gonna hit me.
You're
gonna. It's okay though, because what I've got is steel fucking balls. Now you're gonna hurt your toes.
I got steel fucking shoes on.
Well, you kick your steel foot shoe against my steel ball, which you really do have steel shoes on right now. Against my steel balls, all we're gonna hear is ting, ting.
Story of my life.
All right, so this game though, of turning around our relationship and me taking a stand as a producer had me be committed to the vision that I knew could exist for myself, for our marriage, for my family, and for our businesses. And I stopped looking at when Danielle would have an opinion, I used to have it derail me all the time. Like as if somehow she knew all the time what was right. She doesn't. She doesn't know what's right all the time. She knows what's right a lot of times, but she doesn't know what's right all the time. She doesn't know what's best all the time for our family.
It's a balance.
It's a balance. And let's talk a little bit about this power struggle when it comes to production and money, though, because you're not going to be on the same page.
There's being right, Garrett. There's being right.
Right? Which I am right now.
No.
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 I'm right and standing here right now and holding the space open for you.
You what?
Holding the space for you to be amazing.
You're right that you need to do what you need to do to take it to where it needs to go.
I have a present for you.
You're going to bring out a present right now because you can tell I'm like pissed?
No, I'm literally controlling the frame. All right.
Fuck you.
I have a little present for you for Valentine's Day. It's right here. I'm handing it to you here inside of this studio right now. A little Valentine's
I cannot
gift.
be bought.
I'm not buying anything for you. I'm giving you a gift. Are you going to open this gift right here on the show live?
Do you want me to?
I want you to open this. I want you to open this gift.
From Nordstrom's.
It's from Nordstrom's.
I know because
we can't see it because like there's like if you're on the camera,
I'm giving him
you're gonna
commentary.
get okay.
Has a silver bow.
Silver bow.
The box says Nordstrom's. It's small, so I'm assuming it's jewelry.
It's a small box.
See if I can get this open.
Has a little paper wrapper in there. It's got some tape on there.
Bag.
It's got a little. What else? Keep describing what you see.
It's got a sticker. It says Nordstrom. Still, I'm having a hard time.
Okay.
There we go.
This is Happy Valentine's. This is Happy
Valentine's. I got
Valentine's.
you some Ray-Bans.
You did. I love them. I wore them today. I've lost the same pair twice.
Oh, there's only one in there. Is that a problem?
No, that's not true. Don't say that shit. Literally, I was like, are you shitting me right now?
There's really one.
No, there's not.
Let's see. Oh, there's two. Woo! Ooh, little diamond earrings. Thanks, babe.
You like those?
Yeah.
We think those were the size. I think those are the size that will fit your ears.
I have tiny ears.
Because you have tiny ears.
Elf-like ears. I'm guessing this is probably a quarter carat or a half carat.
It's a half carat.
Oh, that's a half carat?
That's a half carat.
That's a good guess.
We figured that was going to be the right size for your ears.
Yeah, a carat's too big for my elf ears.
Are you going to put them in right now? Do you have earrings in right now?
No, but I have headphones on.
That's all right. You got small earring. It'll fit right under them. Let's see how they look. See how they look. I'm gonna zoom the camera.
That's a weird time to bring out a gift.
No, it's called the pattern interrupt.
I like it.
Let's see what you got here. Okay. Oh, I think they're going to be the right size. We were debating.
Are these real diamonds?
Mm-hmm.
Just checking and see how much I want to.
Those are real. Oh, they look perfect on your ears.
Oh, good.
Because your ears are tiny. Literally, you have tiny ears, which means
no.
If they were any bigger than that, you would look like a hip hop star.
I have some really cute big David Yurman's ones that you gave me for Christmas, but I don't wear them that much because they do look
They're
like
too
giant
big.
earrings.
Yeah.
But these I'd wear a lot.
These are
like
beautiful.
This necklace. You bought me this necklace for Christmas.
No, I didn't. You bought yourself that necklace.
Okay, you bought me
I bought it and then you took it back because it was too big.
You bought me a really gangster one, and I took it back.
You were
and
looking.
This cute, dainty
You were looking
one.
like you were ready to break out a new album.
Yeah, I was like, no.
Which wouldn't have been a problem. Like, been cool. All right, so we got the second one in. So we got the right size. The right size is happening here. So pull your headphones off and show those on the camera there. Oh, those look nice. Yeah. Those look nice. Don't you like those?
Yeah, I love them.
You love them, yes?
I feel like if you would have brought them up at a better time, I would have been like, oh! I'm just trying to like calm my emotions right now from you being like, I'm right. I'm Mr. Right.
Yeah. Did you like how I interrupted the pattern there?
Yeah.
I got you fired up, and then I gave you a gift.
So that's what I do.
Because that's exactly what you do with me.
I fire you up, and then I give you a gift.
You fire me up, and then I find the gift. Do you know what gift I find this morning?
What?
This morning I was super pissed.
Okay.
Because last night's fight. Do you know what the gift was? Do you want me to read the gift to you?
Oh, your stack?
Yeah, my stack, which is a tool technology I use to deal with to deal with some shit. Oh no, that's not it. All right, so that's the wrong one. Okay, so like I'm sitting here and I send Danielle a image. I do a tool. Part of being able to deal with myself, I had to learn how to use a tool called the stack, which is found inside of a book called Warrior Book. And if you're not familiar with this book, I encourage you to go check it out. Found at warriorbook.com. It is built and driven for men, but also can serve women. So where are you at here in my text message? Because I sent you my final assessment, which actually has everything to do with what's going on here. Here was my revelation from my stack today. Danielle is my greatest ally when it comes to conversion to my ideas and concepts because she is the one person who will challenge me to the core with no filter.
I couldn't tell
How
if
you
that
feel about
was
that?
like a jab or...
No, that wasn't a jab. That was revelation. That was excitement.
Oh, okay. I was like...
That was not a punch in the boobs.
I was like, does that just validate, like, if I say something that you're like, nope, I know what I need to do because Danielle said otherwise? Or...
No, sometimes you say things like this is all around this topic of, like, reclaiming the throne. Because I'm fighting back to find a position of power in our relationship, which I'd been out of power for years.
But don't kick me completely off the throne with you.
No, there's a throne right next to us. I'm just kicking you out of my seat.
Okay. Do I get my own seat right there?
There's two thrones, and you were putting your feet on both of them. And you're like, they're both mine. I was like, woman, share the thrones. You're like, no, you don't get to have the thrones. I'm fighting back for the throne. Do I let you? Yeah, you have your own seat. Right there.
I have my own seat with my own business?
Of course you do. And you have a seat. And when you don't want to, don't want to be in the throne, you go out shopping with your girlfriends. Like, don't worry, the king's got the thrones covered.
Yeah, but if you don't want my input on something, then why do you ask?
I do want input on things all the time. You're just not okay with me not accepting your input, meaning saying, "Oh, okay, well I hear you, but I don't agree with you."
But then you don't agree. But then why would you ask?
Well, because I want your feedback on what you're going. But just because I get your feedback doesn't mean I have to agree with you.
All right.
You don't agree with me. There's all kinds of shit you disagree with me, and you just do your own thing anyways. Yes or no? And you do this with money. You do this with money, too.
I was thinking in the salon, sometimes I ask Stacy's opinion. Because I was like, no, that's lame. But then sometimes I'll be like, Stacy, what do you think? And she'll tell me, and I'll be like, good try, but no, I'm going to go with my original thoughts.
Okay, good. Same situation goes with me. I have a thought about what I'm going to do. I ask you your opinion. You give me an opinion. You give me feedback, and I don't accept it sometimes, and sometimes I accept it. I'm like, that's a great idea. And some days I'm just like, she doesn't have a clue. But I still appreciate it. But you'll attack as if you have a clue, and I attack as if I have a clue.
But I feel like
and
I
so
do
part
have
of
a
that,
clue.
But you have a clue inside of your own frame, but you don't have a clue inside of my frame. Same thing for me. I don't have a clue inside of your frame. So there's this collision game that happens with money and production. That's where I'm getting to. This is firing you up, even though you have the gift in your ears.
No.
Maybe I should have waited until later to give you the gift. Anyways, this game of collision exists with money. Why is it important in your mind, Danielle, that couples be okay with colliding on the topic of money? Because we do.
Why do I think it's okay?
Yeah, well, why is it necessary to collide when it comes to the topic of money and production when you're married?
It just
some people just submit completely and they give up the throne and they say, "Here you go," and a man hands off all the keys to a woman, or a woman hands off all the keys to a man.
I think for women that are not working, they might be able to relate to this conversation of like they want the freedom with money, but they feel all this guilt, and they're like, I gotta ask my husband, and then they want to be taken care of, but they don't want to be controlled. So that's kind of my assessment.
Okay. So there's an assessment of control.
Right.
But that a woman wants to be free financially at some level to be able to create
I forgot what you
herself.
said the specific question was. Sorry.
That's all right. We're going to move on. You ready? We're going to move on to a new topic. So this game then of production and this power struggle with money is real. It happens all the time. It happens in every couple. It happens in every relationship. It happens with every person. And the only reason the conflict won't happen is if one person shuts their mouth and doesn't say anything. And this becomes simply a doormat conversation with a couple, which means people don't get to have an opinion together. But there's a time and a place in which you begin to trust each other as a couple. We moved our accounts back together. Why did you move your accounts back together with me?
That was like a big moment for me of like...
It was.
I was just like, hey, I have to trust the process. Like, I've seen what he can do. I'm feeling safer. Like, fuck it. Like, here you go. Like, we can do whatever you want to do. But you know what? I had to literally, and even still today, like I'm like on a need to know basis. Like I get emotionally like worked up when I see like numbers leaving the account and this and that because I'm like, oh, and I'm not like a control freak, but when I get in the know, I want to micromanage everything, but I don't really like that side of me. Like I'm very much like, I just want to be like happy Danielle. I want to like I want somebody else to control for me. But when I'm in the trenches and I see it, I'm like, so for me, it was hard to let go. But then it was like, no, I don't want to be this control freak. I don't want to know this. Like I have to trust him enough to know like, you got this. And for a while I couldn't because it was like you kept restarting a company and kept redoing something and so I was like, oh, I can't do it. And finally I was like, okay, like, I can't freak out over the numbers if this X amount of dollars is out of the account or this and that. Like, I have to trust he knows what he's doing at this point.
So there was
which actually made me a happier person because I felt like I had two sides of Danielle. I had, like, chill, like, fun, like, happy-go-lucky me, whatever you want to call it. Then I had, like, crazy bitch me. But I don't even want to say crazy bitch me. It's just, like, I get obsessive and I'm, like, very detailed. And I don't like that. It stresses me out, to be honest.
It is definitely a controlling thing. Is that what happened last night?
But I don't necessarily like the control.
But you jump into the control.
I don't
like a reaction,
control.
like you can't control it.
I don't like having the control, but I have a hard time letting it go at the same time.
Right.
So I have to like decide what I want my outcome to be and like choose my battles.
So you started deciding what battles to choose and what not to choose with me.
I think last night specifically, I was just like, I feel
we had another battle last night, and it was dealing with money. It was dealing with money last night. Was our battle. I just
feel like because I'm like, nope, he's gonna he knows what he's doing. I feel like like I said, I still want to be very much a part of things and the creation of things, and I want to say in things, and so I feel like I'm like, don't. It's almost like I'm not like, don't replace me. Like, what do you do? You know what I mean?
So was that a story inside your own mind that causes this, like for you?
Probably.
Because it's not like what I'm saying.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
But you keep bringing that up that you.
That's where my mind goes.
Your mind goes to you're getting excluded.
I'm totally have FOMO. I have like such FOMO. I'm fear of
Tell
missing.
Them what FOMO is.
Fear of missing out, and I hate when I'm out of the loop. Like even when
But you don't want to be all the way in the loop.
I know. That's why I'm so crazy.
But you don't want to be left out of the loop.
Yes, it's a fine.
It's like a goddamn nightmare around here. I want to be in the loop, but I don't want to be in the loop. But I need to be in the know, but I don't want to be in the know.
I just know, like I said, on a need to know basis. Like I want to like be invited, and I might come or I might not.
I might show up to my own podcast. I might not show up to my own podcast. Like this was an interesting thing. I had to learn Danielle's patterns of money. Danielle is selectively a cheap bastard. And I'm selectively a cheap bastard. We are both selectively cheap bastards.
Everybody is a selective. It's
right? But we had to
value.
learn how to balance it. So for example, like I love to like give. I was at the gas station 2 nights ago. There was a guy there. I pulled into the parking lot. It was raining outside. He was sitting outside. He's a homeless guy here in Dana Point, Laguna Beach area. And I see him all the time. And I was pulling in the rain. And I see him. And I go up to him and ask him, what do you need? And he's like, I could really use some smokes. And I was like, fair enough. I like that. If you want some food, great, get some food. You want some drink, get some drink, whatever. I'll get you some smoke. So I go inside. I get him 2 packages of Pall Malls. And I bring the Pall Mall packages out. I give him 2 packages of cigarettes. I go, here you go. We have a talk for a little bit, shake it up a little bit and go. And I tend to just give. Like, I tend to be, like, with money when it comes at, like, I want to tip everyone. I want to tip the valet. If I don't, you've seen this. If I don't have cash for the valet, guess what happens to me?
I don't know.
I get a little paranoid.
Oh.
I start to find out.
That's not normal.
I start to feel like shit. I got to tip these guys. Well, it's not normal for a lot of people. Like I have my own selective weirdness when it comes to putting money into circulation. But Danielle has none of that. If Danielle doesn't have money for tips, she's like, eh. If Danielle, if there's a homeless person, she's like, eh. There's a difference for you when it comes to giving money at certain places, but then you get crazy about it in other places.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't mind putting money into people that I know and value, but I have a hard time putting money into people like the bum on the road. Like, I'm like, dude, you're on the same corner every morning. Like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, in fact, you look at me with, like, scary evil eyes, which makes me, like, not want to give you money even more. But it's, I mean, everybody's story is different, and I hate to, like, say that, but I don't feel bad, like, not giving the bum money. Like, I'm like, no. Like, I'd rather give money to somebody who... in family or work or whatever, somebody who needs it, like I'm selectively giving.
So we used to battle. We used to battle about this with selective giving. I would ask you for cash because I didn't have any cash to give to some people. And you would like freak out.
You know what though?
Like,
I
it's
remember
my money. You don't get to have it.
There was this phase though for you and I where literally we'd be out of town with the girls. We could be in New York City and you're like trying to find an ATM to give a bum some money. And I'm like, oh my God, like you're taking away time from the family. True. And this guy is like super creepy. Like Garrett, like let it go. So you have your weird quirks of where you're like, you have this like this karma debt that you owe
to the universe.
I don't know. And I can't even resignate. I'm like, I don't have
to. You do have a karmic debt to the universe.
I don't have to give every bum some money and
it's
ask
just
him what he's going to do.
Louis Vuitton and Chanel.
No, that just makes me sound shallow. It's like, it's not about that. It's like you literally feel like you have a karmic debt and you like to add value to people. So like going up to the guy and saying, hey, what do you need? You want to add value in his life, and if value for him is some smokes and that like makes him a little bit happier, that's what you're really looking to. Because whenever you go to give money to a bum, you're stopping and you're like, how are you, man? Like, what's your story? And when you feel complete with like you've put in your karmic debt or whatever you want to call it to this guy, then you're good. Like the same guy that stands at the Chevron every freaking morning.
Yeah, I don't give that guy money anymore.
And I'm like, why don't you give that money anymore?
I waved to him though.
And you're like, because you're like, I stopped and gave him money like every day for like a week, and I asked him his story, and he's not. Obviously, what he's getting from me is not really helping his situation, so I'm good. And I was like, so you have this thing.
I have a thing with money.
Yes, it's not money. You see people like that and you want to add value to their life. It's not necessarily about the dollar amount. You didn't give that guy cash. You gave him some smokes. Yep. You bought him some smokes because you wanted to see where he was at in life and you wanted to add value. So that's like, so we can talk about.
So we have some selective cheap bastardness on my side.
Sure.
Okay, so but our story is different.
It used to be like with gifts. So you'd give. This is when I would get irritated when we were married for a while, because like you'd go up to a bum and we didn't have a ton of money, and you'd be like, "Dude, let me add some value in your life," and give him $40. I'm like, "You can fucking add some value in my life. I'll take that $40 and put it towards this," because I just felt like you weren't. I was like, "Why? We don't have why are you? What is going on?" Like I just couldn't. I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't relate to it, and I couldn't do it. And then for like, you're not big on birthdays.
I hate birthdays.
You're not big on Valentine's Day.
Not big on Valentine's Day, but I show up.
Usually I'll tell, I figured out your tricks. It's because you're so busy and you're not big on them. So whereas most people, even if they're busy, they look forward to holidays or whatever. And
yeah,
it's
I do not look forward to holidays.
You don't, because you're busy, and I get that. And your words of affection or whatever you want to call it is not
tell
gifts.
me, touch me, fuck me.
But it's not
with gifts or holidays.
But I'm just saying you're like that with even people you work with, family members. Your mom could be, it's my birthday, and you're like, cool, Mom, happy birthday. How old are you? Like you just like, you don't care, and I don't know why. But I'm very much like, I love gifts, and I love to be like, if it's a birthday or Valentine's or St. Patrick's Day or half a birthday day, I'm like, I'll take a gift, whatever. just that's what I like. And so as I noticed for you that like you would be like, well, because you didn't like gifts and things like that, you'd be giving this bum $40, and then I'd be like, oh, it's my birthday. Oh, like for there's been so many birthdays you've actually forgotten, and then like even for Valentine's Day, you usually. I figured out the trick where I tell my little 10-year-old daughter now, I'm like, please remind Dad it's Valentine's Day tomorrow and I love diamonds.
Oh, well, at least we've learned our games.
But what I'm saying...
At least you've learned your games.
But I know.
You have a messenger,
woman.
What
I'm saying is like selectively cheap, like what I value and what I think is important, you would be like, well, you don't need more Louis Vuittons or you don't need that. And I was like... Okay,
do you know what my mind actually goes to?
You hate it. It's like pulling teeth. You're like, oh,
I have to buy these shoes. We're buying more shit.
Why are we buying this? She doesn't need it. And I'm like,
yes. It's
I
true.
don't even know what to say.
But on the flip side, I do spend a shitload of money in business, which means you'll like, so for example, our fight last night was about $900 in ad spend. And Danielle felt like I was like wasting the world away with finances.
No, I wasn't worried
because
about
I was testing $900 in ads.
I wasn't worried about testing.
You said stop spending all the money.
I literally felt like you weren't validating my concerns.
Oh.
And that was what last night specifically. Like
Oh,
I literally.
it had nothing to do with the money.
No, I push my ads like every single one. I've been promoting them like $200-$300 just testing. So
But you were breaking my balls over $900.
I was just pissed because I felt like you weren't validating you asked and then you didn't take my feedback, and I was like, well, fuck you, don't ask for my feedback.
All right, so we have money. Anyways, as a topic that is like.
I love my earrings, by the way.
They look beautiful. Let me see them again. Pull your muffs off. Oh, nice. They look fantastic. I can't see them from the side as well, so I see them on the camera angle. They look nice. By the way, on camera angle, if you are not watched the videos here of the show, you can check those out at dateyourwifenow.com, as well as YouTube or Facebook. If you just search it up, you're going to be able to find it. But those will be your definite location. You're going to find all of the resources there, action guides, tips here for each one of these shows. We've got 10 minutes more on this show to wrap it up, and I'm going to turn this around. Like, what people are definitely getting an example of is how we battle. Do you know that I've actually been getting people? We've been getting tons of emails in saying, I love how on the show, literally, it sounds like you guys are actually working through shit.
Are they getting something out of it? You know what? Before we started this show, I literally was like, I feel like we should do this, and then part of me was like, that's good. That's actually going to force us to like
deal with even more shit.
But I was like, well, I feel like we're in a pretty solid space, so game on.
We are, and we're in a very solid space. So there's like conflict with money is inevitable. Like inevitable. Like there's going to be things that my wife wants to do financially, and I'm like, I don't fucking get it. Like in my mind, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like there's no way. But on the flip side, so for example, rebuilding a salon, I'm the first one to pull the trigger, and Danielle goes, cheap bastard. Like she's like, no, we don't need to. It's too much. And I'm like, woman, there is an investment. So my justification with money is if it's an investment, I put the money in. In Danielle's case.
Maybe I thought I was the investment and you were investing in me.
Well, because I was putting in the salon?
Because you were putting it into the bums.
Oh, you were like, listen, the bums are not the investment. Oh, the homeless people. Okay, so battle inside of this. Now, any tips you have for dealing with the conflicting rise
you know
of
what? Okay,
a
yes.
king when you're a
I
queen?
just thought of something.
Okay,
so many times, and I've even talked to some friends recently, and we just bought like an amazing beach home in Orange County. It's like literally waves crashing. We can hear them every single night. Like literally, like
I surf there every morning.
Dream house, okay?
Yeah.
But I had to fight for that.
Yes.
I had to fight for that, and that was not our business. Our home was not our business. And I remember
I didn't want to do it.
You didn't want to do it.
No.
And I had to fight for it. And it's funny because I've had even friends that are like, oh, yeah, we've like lived in the same house forever and we want to redo it. But my husband's like giving me crap. Or I want to just go look at a new house, but my husband won't let me. So now I'm redoing the kitchen because that seems safer to him. Like, how come, like, I think guys are scared to kind of take that leap as far as like getting a new home because that's such a huge investment.
Yeah, and it's like the upgrade side, right? So I think that you're dealing with two things. Number one, like, because I didn't see the home as an investment, like to me,
Yeah.
I was like, the home is not an investment.
Yeah, you're like,
that
we
was
don't
my
need
story.
it.
It's like we got a plenty good home right now. Our home is fantastic, and if you're in Orange County, California, the houses just get more and more expensive all the way to the beach. And we're moving straight down to the beach. So I'm like, all right, this is like top tier expensive shit now. And that was my story. It's expensive. Like I looked at it as a cost. That was my challenge. Now, I'm so grateful we did it because making the move like changed me. It changed Danielle. It was fantastic. But Danielle was fighting for what she wanted. On the flip side, I was fighting for a lot of things inside the business. I was the one that was pushing us to continue to go, pushing us to grow.
Don't you think, like in a lot of aspects, just leveling up our overall experience of life down to where we live has helped you level up your businesses?
For sure.
And I think when I was able to communicate that to you,
I could see it as an investment.
As an investment. Yes.
So here's
an investment in yourself, in your family, in your business, all the way around. It was an investment.
But you know where my mind clicked with it was like a production move for me. So like I loved you and I loved the kids. It was an emotional shift.
Yeah. It was the emotional shift for me. I was like, you are at that level, Garrett.
Sure. It was like it was an interesting thing because like the point I want you guys to get as we have like the last 5 minutes of the show is like there's two things that are going to happen with money as a couple. One, you're going to collide. You're going to have courage to collide. Danielle and I have had 2 fights in the last 4 days, which interestingly enough is like the first time we fought about shit in probably like 8 months. Like, we haven't had a battle. Like, it was weird. We had, like, the wine bar thing happening. I was getting, like, deja vu when we're in Beverly Hills and we're in this, like, little cool little quaint restaurant. I'm losing my fucking mind. I want to throw the table across the room. Danielle's, like, losing her mind. I'm like, this is a shit show. Fuck this. I'm out of here. And then I'm having this fight happen. I'm like, whoa, this is really weird. We haven't done this in a while. And then last night, it's repeating itself. And I'm like, oh, hell no. We're not going here again. And Danielle's battling. I'm battling. We hang up on each other. We're sending text messages back and forth. She's saying that. And it's the same shit we have been saying to each other for 15 years. Like, the fighting terminology has not changed. It's like the same thing every time. And both times it's because people want to feel validated in their desires with money.
Yeah, I like how you just wrap that up.
It's because we want to feel validated. I want to feel validated inside of my world that my opinion matters when it comes to what I want financially. And you want to feel validated that your opinion matters when it comes to what you want financially. Is this accurate for you?
Sure.
Sure or yes?
Why
Well,
do
you're coming
so
with all this,
against
like,
sure?
you're coming at sure and maybes are the land of losers.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
You feel this for real? Yes.
What?
Do you feel this for this is a yes for you?
Yes. But sure to me means yes.
Sure means yes, and yes means sure, and maybe means yes sometimes,
maybe
and sometimes no?
No.
No, sure is a yes.
Sure means yes for me.
Okay. So inside of tips, what tips would you give to a woman who is married to a man who's a cheap bastard when it comes to investing in the family with a home, a new car, taking care of shit, and he's just a cheap bastard? I got hundreds and hundreds of these guys.
You know
I
what?
get them.
Yeah, you know what? You plant seeds. Like, you
Okay,
can't,
talk about
you can't
planting
be,
seeds.
You can't be like Nagy. You can't be like, oh, well, if we had a better house, or if I had this, or I'd really. You just casually.
You tried that with me. It would trigger the fuck out of me.
You just casually plant seeds. You know what I did? You know what I've done every time, actually?
What?
Is I get a little voice in my head that's like, okay, it's time to go. And I'm like, okay, it's time to go. And I get into, like, crazy research Danielle mode. And
Yeah.
I like get obsessed with an idea, and I start, like, it's like I almost don't even care what you want to do. And I just start, like, start researching places to live and homes and cars. And then I just kind of get obsessed. And then the next thing you know, like, happens. And it's not like I ask you permission. I'm like, hey, I went and found a realtor and looked at these super awesome homes. And I'm not even like, we should buy one. I'm like, they're so amazing. You should come look just for fun. Because that's literally kind of what I'm thinking.
That's what it started out
That's what it starts is because I'm like, oh, I wonder. Because I think a lot of people don't ask, what if? You know what I mean? They say, oh, this is my current reality. This is what I'm making. This is where I'm at financially, and I can't possibly go there. You know what I mean? And maybe that's true and maybe it's not. But we're both entrepreneurs, and I knew that moving forward was always an option, regardless of where we were currently at. And so I wasn't even thinking, like, this is where we're going to go or this is what we're going to do. I just was like, I know we had, like, talked about it. We were like, oh, we want to move to this area. We love these homes. It's, like, right on the beach. Like, from the time we moved to California 4 years ago, like, this area was kind of our goal.
It was like our place.
Yeah, it was like our goal area. And we actually, like, saw it when we first moved here, and we're like, someday we're going to be there. And it was funny because a voice, when it was like, go check it out, it was kind of like, I have a feeling this isn't that far off, and we need to give ourselves a little more credit for where we're actually at. And so I just plant seeds. My final note would be just to kind of plant seeds, because all I did was I went and I started, like, looking at things. Same with cars. I'll, like, just go look at cars, and I'll find out the numbers, and I'll find out the details, because oftentimes when I show Garrett, like, the numbers, I'm like, look, I think people think, like, things are so far out of their reach, and then you actually lay out the numbers and you're like, oh, I mean, it's scary and it's a stretch, but it's not actually that scary. And so if you're a girl or a woman out there and you're trying to, like, push your husband to that next level, or you're trying to push your relationship or whatever it is financially, like, maybe just look and see what is possible. And don't say, oh, I wish we had this and I wish we had that, and don't be naggy, but just maybe. For me, I was just like, I'm just going to go see what is possible. And I think I just planted the seeds in your head. And I was like, I'm like, come look at this house. And you showed up in, like, baggy. We're looking at these, like, $10 million homes. And Garrett shows up. Literally, his hair wasn't done. He had these baggy.
I had a hat on backwards.
He had a hat on backwards, a warrior tee that was pretty too small, some sweats on with his ass hanging out. And I was like, oh, dear Lord. And I'm dressed so cute because I'm thinking, like, I want this realtor to think I'm serious. Like, we're looking at these freaking $10 million homes. And so Garrett rolls in, and I'm like, he's not serious at all. But I'm like, oh, well, at least he showed up. Let's, like, go check it out. And I remember when we walked in, you were like,
holy shit.
And your mind went, like,
I was like, I probably shouldn't have wore the sweats.
You were like, who? You even said to me, you're like, who would I have to become? And you started to look at your business differently, and all I did was like, just come look, this is amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the interesting thing is that shift actually led to.
But I had to fight for it.
True, you did have to fight for it, and that shift in my belief. My shift in my belief in me actually shifted almost a $5 million swing in less than 3 months.
And that's crazy that you could
production.
do that.
That was always there. I just,
Yes.
I needed a bigger purpose. So here's my final thoughts as we wrap up the show. From the man's perspective, which is this. Gentlemen, I'm going to have you look at two things. One of the most fucked up stories I was telling myself my entire life that did not start shifting until the last 1.5 to 2 years passionately, which has taken our marriage and our lives to a whole nother level beyond the date night strategy, is this. I had to start looking at my investment in my wife and my investment on family as a return on investment. Like a return on investment. The earrings that I just gave to my wife here on this show, like these things, I had to start looking at them as investments. My story around the money I was putting into my family had to change. I was not experiencing an expense, which is how I'd lived for almost 40 years. I had to change my story that the money being put into vacations, the money being put into homes, the money being put into the kids' experiences, the money being put into gifts for my wife and for the children. And it doesn't matter the dollar amount. It doesn't matter the dollar amount. You could be dealing with stuff that's like a couple dollars to things that are millions of dollars to hundreds of millions. It doesn't matter. The principle is simply this, that when you are looking at your family is outside of investing in yourself, your number one investment, which is investing in your wife, investing in your children, investing in the experiences that will matter, and investing in the relationships that will matter. I've done a lot of business deals over the years. I don't remember most of them. They didn't matter much to me. They weren't that significant. A lot of real estate deals, a lot of business I built and acquired and sold, done different things inside of the game, a lot of shit I've sold, a lot of things I've done. They don't really matter anymore. But the one thing that continues with me this entire time is my wife and my children. My 19-year-old, my 11-year-old, and my 6-year-old, soon to be 7-year-old. Like all three of these kids and my wife, we are together regardless of what happens. And the moment I started to see that my family was an investment, the interesting thing is I started to see my value in myself even more. And there was a direct connection that I couldn't see, which was investing in my family financially was also an investment into myself. And inside of the family experience, the return on that investment has been significant, both economically for me, but also has been significant in just coming home to a home that my wife feels comfortable in, a home that our family feels a home at. And honestly, in the first time since we've been together, we've been together for 17 years, married for 15 years this year. It is the first time that we truly have a home. Would you agree with this?
Yeah, it feels like home.
I've never felt like we had a home.
No, I knew it when we walked in, and I was like,
"This is it." And it changed us. Do you believe that the being in the home has like settled our family, like brought a foundation to all of us?
Totally. So I think that's important. It's a part of, it's part of learning and growing is like kind of leveling up your game all across the board.
The end. My friends, that's all we got for you this week in today's show. Next week, we're going to be back with another episode here, episode number 8. We're going to be discussing the topic of parenting. And we're going to talk about whether or not your children should get Gucci shoes. Because this is what my daughter sends me, screenshots of $700 shoes and why she thinks she should get them. I know some of you were listening to the show and you're like, $700 shoes? Are you fucking kidding me? Don't worry. That is a world that I came from too, of thinking, what the fuck? So we're going to have this conversation about kids. We're going to talk about parenting. We're going to talk about spanking. We're going to talk about yelling. And we're going to talk about all a bunch of other conversations. And I thanks so much for being here this week. Again, a couple of reminders here. If you're not currently subscribed in iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or SoundCloud to this show, Date Your Wife, I would encourage you to get yourself subscribed today. Also, leave us a review on one of these shows. We'd love to hear all your thoughts and opinions on this. If you'd like to watch the show, get action guides or show notes and tips and tricks here for each one of these episodes, head on over to dateyourwifenow.com. And your date stretch of the week is during your date night, you're going to have a conversation. The conversation is going to be this. What is going to be the next stretch for you two as a couple financially that will pull you two forward? We shared one of ours, which was getting our newest home. And inside of that place, what is going to be your next stretch? Thanks so much for being here. This is Garrett White, your co-host with my beautiful wife, my queen, Danielle, saying sayonara. And we will see you guys next week.